What's up, everybody? Got 6 NBA games today to go through for my model. I got the predictions right here with the way the model's leaning. I will go through each of these games so that you can see what the model's seeing and perhaps go against the model if it makes sense. Some of the injuries and stuff will not be implemented fully into this. It's going to go as the games get played. It'll see how the teams start to do, and it'll make adjustments from there. So I got the recap for the NBA on the next slide. There will only be college today because NHL is off for about 3 weeks due to the Olympics. So we'll get into these recap and the game by game now. All right, so here's the recap for yesterday. We did have 3 spreads correct all day, 3 totals correct all day, 2 spreads and 3 totals that it depended on the time of the day. It was correct some of the day, it was wrong some of the day, and then 3 spreads and 2 totals that were just wrong all day. So overall, it was pretty close on a lot of the games, or did better on some of it. So it was a good day overall. We'll hope that today is even better. There is still a lot of the trade hangover going on. These teams trying to figure out how they're going to play with each other now, missing pieces, new pieces, all of that going on. Beat Miami going to Boston. The model likes Boston 116 to 110. So 6-point spread on Boston and about 226 on the total, which is under, and it is on the Miami side of the spread. You may notice there's only 4 days. I apologize. I thought I had the schedules scraped till the end of the season. It was only until early February, and I didn't notice till a couple days were missing. So there should be back to 5 tomorrow, 6 the next day, and then back to the full 7-day prediction window on Sunday or no Monday. So Miami is 11-15 on the road. They're 5-5 in their last 10, 2-3 in their last 5. Boston 16-8 at home, 7-3 in their last 10, 4-1 in their last 5. They did just get Vucevic from Chicago. Boston did win both previous matchups. They won 129-116 back on December 9th. And on January 15th, they won in Miami 119-114. So the model's been pretty strong on Boston. It did start at about a 10-point spread. It has dropped down to 6. I think Vucevic starting for Boston is only going to help them. I think that's a piece that they've been missing. He's very good at many aspects on the offensive side, and he's good at grabbing rebounds. So he should help open up some of those shooters that they have that have been struggling to get their shots. Derek White hopefully can get a little more consistent. It's going to help Jaylen Brown even. Jaylen Brown with the pick and roll with him should be a pretty nice option. So the Miami offensive rating is right there with Boston. They're both 112, almost 113. Boston does have the better defensive rating at 107 versus 111, so 4 points better there. So Miami does score the ball pretty well. Boston tends to be more defensive minded. Miami, I think their offensive rating would be quite a bit better if they just didn't have all of those injuries. Their injury looked pretty clean today. They obviously still have Hero out, but I didn't see Mitchell, Powell, and Bam, any of the other big names. They're all on there, should or not on there, so they should all be playing. It should be a pretty good matchup. I'm not sure I would want to lean on a spread on this one. I think I kind of like the total a little better, even though the model is a few points under. I think this is a game where scoring could be more. And I do think Boston's going to be more efficient on the offensive side of it with a big man like Vucevic in the game. So we'll have to see. He didn't play in the last game after he got traded, but I do like the over. Like I said, I think it's going to help Boston scoring, and Miami should be scoring more. They look pretty healthy today. When they're healthy, they put up points normally. And the side, I'm just not sure on the side. If it was around 4 or 5 points, I think I would take Boston on the spread. Right there at that 7-8 point mark is just kind of on the edge for me. The model liked it earlier in the week. It has been trending back towards Miami. I'm not going strictly off of that. I do think the additions probably put Boston on the spread side at the full spread. I'm just not going to go on that. I think I would rather probably buy that down to 4 or 5, take Boston on that, and then do the over, or even buy the over down to around 225. Combine the two. I think that would be a pretty nice one tonight. All right, next game will be New York going to Detroit. New York played a tough game against Denver, double overtime 2 nights ago. Detroit just played and got beat pretty bad by Washington yesterday, start to finish. So, two of the best teams in the East, but that game last night was a little concerning for Detroit. The model does like New York to win 117-113. It started on Detroit on day one, and it has just steadily gone to New York. After last night's game, it likes New York a whole lot better. So New York is 11-12 on the road. They're 8-2 in the last 10, and they've lost 8 straight. Detroit is 20-6 at home. They are 7-3 in their last 10. They're 4-1 in their last 5. Detroit did win the only head-to-head. They won 121-90 on January 5th, but that was kind of a weird game. For one, Josh Hart didn't play. He is questionable today, along with Karl Anthony Towns and Jose Alvarado. And Anunoby's probable. On the Detroit side, Duren's questionable. Harris is questionable. So they could be without their big man, too. I would imagine if one sits, the other might have them sit, too. But in the last game, the Knicks, they were in the middle of a 2-9 stretch. Obviously, they're playing much better now. In that game, Detroit out-rebounded them on the offensive glass 14-5. They had turnover margin of 12-7, and they shot 52% from three-pointer. I don't see that happening tonight. In that game, Cade had 13 assists. The entire New York team had 15. Brunson had 0 assists, and he shot the ball 21 times. He shot 47.6%, but in 31 minutes, he had no assists. So that's kind of strange. The only other time he had no assists in a game, he played 5 minutes. This one, he played 31. So, like I said, I don't expect it to go that way. New York has been playing much better. Detroit is on the second day of a back-to-back. Detroit didn't look good yesterday. If Duren doesn't go, that'll hurt him a little bit. If Karl Anthony Towns doesn't go and if Hart doesn't go, that's obviously going to hurt New York. So injury report, I think, is very key on this game. If everybody plays, I mean, the model's going to New York. Right now, it has New York at about a 2-point favorite, I believe. I think it has changed. And the model does like the over. I'm kind of on the underside. It's two good defenses. It's a team that didn't play well offensively last night and is on the second day of a back-to-back. With the injuries, you never know. Detroit's defense held New York in check last time, but obviously they can put up points. So injury report is very key on this. I'm not a huge fan of this game to bet. I think I like to watch it more because both teams are very good, and I could see this going either way, and I could see either team honestly pulling away in this game. So, not my favorite to pick. It is my favorite to watch, but if I had to pick something, I would take New York on the spread. I think it's favorable, and it's just looking good based on recent stats. They do have the better offensive rating and defensive rating right now. They have Detroit beat by 6 on the defensive rating and 5 on the offensive rating. Some of that is the teams they've played, but as you saw, Detroit lost to Washington yesterday. Not a great team, not a good loss, so competition is only a part of it. So New York would be my side if I had to pick. I would probably pick the under just because of the defense on these teams, but both offenses can get going too. So a little bit risky on a spread, I think. All right, next game is Indiana going to Milwaukee. The model does like Milwaukee by 3, about 117-114. So about 231 on the total. Vegas has had both teams at favored at a 1.5 so far, and it has the total at about 225. So the model is on the Milwaukee side, and it is on the over side. I think with these teams, I would be more on the underside. If you look at the total, it's gone from 224 to 233, 228, 230. So it's bouncing around a lot. It's not sure where to go. And I think a lot of the totals that are going up are not from either of these teams. It's more from the competition. I think these teams are not going to push each other into a high total. I would expect it to stay a little lower. Not super great offenses. Bad defenses, and like I've said, in the NBA, a lot of times the bad defense shows more than the bad offense. But I just think that these teams have been banged up so much. They've been playing a lot of minutes. The Milwaukee has just had inconsistent lineups the whole time. If Zubac was playing, I would go on the Indiana side. He's not playing. So I think this could be a pretty even game. If Miles Turner and Kuzma can get it going, if Rollins can get it going, Milwaukee can stay in this game. I I would still be on Indiana with plus points. I think if either team gets blown out, it's more likely to be Milwaukee. And I just don't think either of these teams are that great. I think bad offenses here and streaky offenses will show a little bit more. So I think my favorite pick would be on the underside of this one. Going to Minnesota, the model flipped to New Orleans by point 0.7 today. I'm not entirely sure what it saw that made it flip from Minnesota by 3 to New Orleans to 1. I would still be on the Minnesota side of this game. Julius Randle does show questionable, so that's would be a big hit to Minnesota, but they got enough players. New Orleans has not shown that they're super great. They've been staying in some games. They got a lot of young talent, but they haven't been able to really win the games. New Orleans 5-21 on the road, 3-7 in their last 10. They're only 1-4 in their last 5. Minnesota is 17-8 at home, 5-5 in their last 10. They're 4-1 in their last 5. Minnesota won both previous matchups. They won first in an overtime game, 149 to 142 on December 2nd. And the very next game on the 4th, they won 125 to 116. Both games were in New Orleans. This game is in Minnesota. Minnesota does play better at home. So I think all of that is pointing in their direction. The model does like I said, by 0.7 it likes New Orleans. So the total it also has at about 227, which is 10 points under where Vegas has it. The model's been pretty consistent over the 4 days for about 225 to 227. But I can definitely see this one going higher. A lot of good players, a lot of good shooters in this game. Trey Murphy finally hit some threes last game. Looked like he was doing a little better. If he can keep that rolling and push Minnesota a little bit, then that'll be very helpful. One of the biggest things here, New Orleans is 113 on the offense and 112 on the defensive rating, so middle of the pack both ways. Minnesota's right there with them, a little worse on the defensive rating in recent games, which is surprising because Minnesota has a pretty good defense, but their offense is 118.4, so they're 6 points better on the offensive side. So this is like New Orleans has been playing, games where they could stay close and Minnesota pulls away at the end. With a double-digit spread, I'm not a huge fan of Minnesota on that. They just haven't shown enough consistency to me. They've shown games where they can absolutely blow you out, and then they've lost some games where they shouldn't lose. They've had some close games that should have been much bigger gap, in my opinion. So if I had to pick on this, I would probably take New Orleans at plus and add a few to it because I already don't like the spread as high as it is. But I also wouldn't take it because Minnesota has shown that they can win by quite a few points. They definitely have an offense that if Dante starts hitting threes, if Anthony starts hitting threes, I mean, Ant-Man and Dante, those two, if Randall plays and him, when they get going, they can put up a lot of points. And they can start playing defense, get the transition turnovers from Dante. They can turn the game real fast. So I'm not a huge fan on the spread. I just don't like it that high for Minnesota. For me to take it. On the total, like I said, the model is on the underside. Minnesota has had a better defense overall on the season, but recently it hasn't been quite as good, starting to pick back up again. If they can hold these shooters on New Orleans down, if they can stop Zion from getting penetration and scoring, if they can stop Trey Murphy from hitting threes, if they can hold Sadiq Bey in check, they can just handle this game and just run out the clock. And that's when I think the total at 237 is just going to be way too risky. So I don't like the spread. I don't like the total on these. I would probably lean underside. I would probably lean New Orleans side, but I think all of that is risky on this game. All right, next game, Memphis going to Portland. Model likes Memphis 120 to 113. The model does not have all of the injury information, all of the trade information. So I would keep an eye on teams like Memphis for a few days, a few games, and just see how it's doing on their predictions before I go too heavy. Because it's still going to be thinking that it's the old team until some of these rolling averages start to work through. So, like I said, Memphis is favored to win by the model by 7. They're favored, or Vegas has Portland favored to win by 7 or 8. The total's pretty close. Has it at 233 for the model, and 232 to 235 range is where it's been for Vegas since it's opened. So it is right there in it. On team ratings, Memphis does have the better offensive rating and very similar defensive ratings. Portland recently has had a 108, so a very bad offensive rating. They've lost 6 games in a row. Also, they're 13-13 at home, 4-6 in their last 10. Memphis is 9-13 away, 3-7 in their last 10, 2-3 in their last 5, and Memphis beat them 119-96 at home on December 7th. But as I said, all of that was with a different team, so it's going to be interesting to see how Memphis plays now that they traded away most of their healthy roster that they've been playing. So they got Aldama still, and they still have some of these role players, Spencer, Coward, Jalen Williams, Gigi Jackson's been playing really well. So they got some players there still. Portland has been struggling. Portland is supposed to get Scoot Henderson back tonight. He has not played yet this year, so that'll be interesting to see how he goes in there. Should help open things up for Sharp, give him a little bit more options, and he's already been playing pretty well. So I can see why Vegas has Portland favored to win this. I'm not sure I like the size of that, even with Memphis giving up all of that. Memphis did beat Sacramento in their last game. That was after their trades. And Portland only beat Sacramento by a few points more when they played them like the week before. So it seems like they're still pretty similar. The way Portland's been playing, 7 points seems like a lot, but a lot of that's going to depend on if Avdia plays. He is questionable today for Portland. Like I said, they're supposed to get Henderson back, so that should help him out. He'll be coming off the bench, and I would imagine his minutes are limited. So it's going to be a boost, but it's not going to be full-time yet. Memphis just looks like they have everybody out now. They have their starting 5, and I'm not sure what they have left on the bench. So this game is really going to depend on, I think, on how this game gets out to a start. If Memphis can build a lead early, they'll probably be able to hold on. If Portland gets a lead early, I just don't think Memphis is going to have enough players to make a comeback. They traded a lot away. They have a lot injured. They already have Aldama listed as out and 5 other players, including Ty Jerome, John Morant, Zach Edey, obviously. All of them listed as out. So can their starting 5 beat Portland's team? I think I would go Portland more on the money line. Like I said, I do not like the spread on this. Just, I don't know. Don't really trust either team. Portland, mediocre at home still. It's not a huge boost. They're 13-13. Offensive ratings, Memphis was better, but that was a lot of Triple J. So wait for the full injury report, see what you like. Probably not one that you're going to want to bet on unless you do feel that Portland is going to be the much better team now. If Avdia plays, that's the way I would lean. If he sits, I could see this going either way. Not a fan of the total on either side. For Memphis, I need to see how they play. They traded away way too many players for me to go confident on any pick in their game. All right, last game is going to be the Clippers and the Kings. The model does like the Clippers to win 116-111, so 5 points on the spread. Vegas has it at about 4 points for the Clippers, so the model does lean in the Clippers' direction on the spread. Also leans in the over direction on the total. It's got it at 227 versus 223. Bad defense is going to be a key on this one. The Clippers have a defensive rating of 115, and they just lost their big man. And the Kings have an even worse one of 123. So offenses aren't great, 113-109, but these are offenses that can score points. I do think one of the best looks in this game is going to be the total and going on the over side. There's not a lot of defense. There's a lot of shooters in this game. Shooters that, when they have good defenses on them, they can tend to struggle at times. But in this game, I'm not seeing where that defense is going to come from. The spread side, I'm not entirely sure. The Clippers losing Harden and Zubac are big hits for them. They did not look good in Cleveland, but Cleveland has a good defense. Cleveland has a good team. You're only looking at about 110-112 per team on this to get on that overside. And I think both of these teams can still get there. Like I said, on the spread side, I'm not entirely sure. I think Sacramento can actually end up winning this game if Levine and Westbrook, DeRozan, DeAndre Hunter looked pretty good for them. He looked better for them last game than was looking for Cleveland all season. That's why they got rid of him. So if he can keep rolling with that team, I think Sacramento can get going on the offensive side. They're still just not a great defensive team. Um, so I'm leaning the over as my absolute favorite pick on this. On the spread side, I think I would take Sacramento plus points, perhaps add a few to it. But I think those are going to be your best looks here, given everything that's gone on with both of these teams. The Clippers are 12-15 on the road, 6-4 in their last 10, but they're 2-3 in their last 5. Sacramento's 9-17 at home, but they are 0-10 in their last 10. They had a 7-game losing streak. They beat the Rockets, the Lakers, the Knicks, the Wizards. Now they're on a 10-game losing streak over their last 21 games. Clippers did win by 41 the last time they played, December 30th. But big pieces from that game are gone. So the over definitely looks like the best pick to me. They have it at about the same total as what it was in the last game. But I just don't think the Clippers are going to suffocate the Kings defense the way they did the last game. I think it'll be more of a shootout. And that's why the over just seems like the best pick to me. All right, and then here's the college basketball games. Only, 8 games to choose from today. So not a lot going on. It does have VCU as the favorite pick, has them 9 to 11 points on the spread. I believe it was about 7.5. That's what it was when it was released. I don't know what it moved to. It also likes Valpo over Evansville, about 8 to 10 points on the spread there. It likes Yale over Brown by 7 to 9 points. I believe that was actually around 15 points on the spread when I saw it yesterday. So it is liking Brown to cover the spread, but Yale is definitely the better team. So the pretty large spread for a Ivy League game, though. Illinois State, it does like to win, 6 to 9 points. So there are some decent games with some decent spreads. The Davidson game, it is increasing every day, 4 points to 6 points to 8 points. That's a good sign for the Davidson. I don't know where they released that spread at, but if it is in the 5 to 7 point range, that might be a good one to take, perhaps even just on the money line, because at least it's moving towards their direction. Even if the spread is a little inconsistent, hopefully they'll still fall within that 4 point range of the lowest spread. So that's the way I would look at these games. Do some more research. I haven't done a ton on these. I did like VCU to cover the spread. I know when I was looking last night, a lot of the underdogs looked like the way to go, but I'm not sure what line movement has done since then. So it looked like some pretty even spreads to the model. It didn't look like there was anything too crazy. I think the biggest one was that Yale Brown one, being about double the spread of what the model predicted. So if you are doing anything, make sure you do some research. If you have any questions, make sure you reach out, leave a comment, whatever. I'll try to get back to you. And good luck.